Hey guys, we recorded this podcast episode earlier today and it's an absolute banger. If you are the type of person that likes learning about brand new businesses and what it's like getting started with a brand new business, you're gonna love this. And also, if you're just someone who happens to be invested in us as people and in Tallow as a business, and you're just hyped on what we're making and releasing with Tallow, it's gonna be a great episode for you because we do a ton of educating on why we chose what we chose as far as ingredients go, why we're doing sunscreen in the first place, all of our philosophy with sourcing and manufacturing and social media and all that. So you're gonna love it. Gabs, do you have any thoughts? You don't have thoughts. But thanks so much for being here. Thanks for listening. We love you all, and I hope you enjoy the... What? No, she does. You do have thoughts. You do have thoughts. She has thoughts, guys. Her brain is full of amazing things, I promise. But I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Please leave a comment if you're watching it on YouTube and let us know what you think. And enjoy the crap out of this conversation with me, Bailey, Top, and my wife, Gabrielle. Jones Calliguire? Jones Calliguire? Still workshopping the name. Well, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining. We have 3 of us this time. We just seem to keep multiplying. It's gone from me and Bailey to now me, Bailey, and Gabs podcasting all together. Gabs and I are sharing a mic today, so we'll be going back and forth. But yeah, so today, if you're joining us and wondering exactly what we're going to be talking about, we just went over it as a group, and here's the 4 things you can expect us to talk about. We're going to share. I forgot what we were going to share. What was the first thing, Bailey? Update. Okay, we're going to share
where we're at now.
We are going to we want to share like what's happening with Tallow and exactly when it's happening, so you have an understanding of what to expect in the next month or so and where different parts of this business are at, why you can't buy it yet. We'll address all of that. And then second, we're just going to dive into the product of Tallow and how we're thinking about it, how it came about, why we landed on tallow, why we have zinc in it, and all of our other ingredients, kind of address that. And then also address like some sourcing stuff, where it's sourced from now, where it's going to be sourced from in the future, and sort of our ideals as far as that goes. Then we want to talk a little bit about our story with marketing and how we're thinking about marketing, why TikTok is such a big deal for us, how the content creation journey has been going for all 3 of us. And then lastly, we're just going to check in and sort of share how we're feeling about it and what it's been like to be building this company together, because it's been quite a journey and there's been a lot of learning and a lot of ups and downs. So wanted to share all of that. So Bailey, why don't you sort of kick us off with giving people a ballpark understanding of what is happening right now and why people can't buy it yet and when they might be able to buy Tallow.
Yeah, so timeline, it's worth jumping back to where we started, which was in late December / really the first week of January. We decided we wanted to design this product and bring it to market, and we wanted to do it on TikTok. So we really constrained ourselves to that decision. We're going to make one product. We're going to sell it on one channel. And since then, we have figured out a formula. We have experimented with like 4 or 5 different, I would say, base formulas, and then even within those variations, probably 3 or 4 of each of those. So easily 20 plus samples that we've made. And
I brought this for a little show and tell too.
Yeah. And so what we landed on is what's in John's hand. And it ended up,
it looks funny because we brought it to Costa Rica and Gabs was like trying to take pictures of it, and she put it like we were on a black sand beach and like this big wave came up and like broke all over it. So there's like seawater and black sand in it. So it'll look less polluted could be sick than ingredients. This does currently.
Maybe we need to add some seawater and black seaweed.
Yeah. The cool thing though about this jar though is this is the first round from our actual manufacturer. So like Bailey and Britt spent some time. Brittany is Bailey's wife. They spent a lot of time getting the formula down in their own kitchen and whipping this stuff up in all kinds of different forms. At first, we weren't using tallow. We were going with coconut oil, avocado oil, maybe not avocado, olive oil, I guess was the one we were looking at. I guess all 3 of those.
Both of them. Yeah, we looked at all of them.
And we're going for more of like a sporty type sunscreen. which was going to be great, but we decided that it was actually going to be better for our business and more in line with sort of what we wanted to create if we created a daily SPF and more of a moisturizer, something that you would put on as your daily sunscreen skincare routine every morning. And so tallow ended up becoming a really attractive piece to us. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I just wanted to say that this is like after Bales and Britt kind of mixed a bunch of things and we landed on tallow. We then sent that recipe to our manufacturer, which is in Florida. And so far they seem like they're amazing. They got this to us really, really quickly to just show us like, here's basically exactly what you made, but from us. And Gabs and I have been using this stuff for the last few weeks. We've given a few jars away to friends and family and even our graphic designer who's been working on our logo. And for the most part, everyone is like super stoked on it. And including myself and Gabs.
True.
So anyway, I just wanted to shout out that we actually have like a manufacturer and this is like not made from us. It's from our ultimate creators of the tallow.
Yeah. And like, just to bring the timeline up to that point, after all of that experimentation, we ended up with a Word document that says, here is what should go in it and the requirements. So like, if it's tallow, it needs to be grass fed, it needs to be, sourced from the US and and there's some really specific things for each one that through the formulation and through our research we found are really important to us, and we'll get into that. But that's a great thing because I had sent that document to the manufacturer and he was like, this is incredible. People never send me this. They always have questions about what they're doing and like how. I think a lot of people say, I want to sell something. I don't really care what it is. It has to be pretty close to, what else is on the market. Cause I want to copy and paste and put my own branding on it. So it was kind of cool. Like I had thought everyone does this. I thought everybody messes around with it and tries and formulates. But I realized that that's not the typical approach, and which is really cool. And I need to shout out that like getting to the point of that, having that piece of paper, John and Gabby, you guys were a huge part of that and testing it out. I would make a batch, I'd mail it out to you guys. You would give honest feedback about like one that maybe I was excited about. You'd be like, I don't know, it's, I want it to smell better, or it needs to be more like whipped and airy. And it was great because I'm like deep in this mode, and it was just like very coarse feedback that would help me to, okay, well, I know that this step in the process or this ingredient contributed to that. And we would just continue to tweak it. So I leaned a lot early on, on Gabby's expertise and just skincare in general, and a lot of her friends who are familiar with different ingredients and what we could try. And so that was really from January to March. I think it was March 1st, roughly, or like the first week of March, that we submitted everything to the manufacturer, which was really cool. I think that was our goal. Our goal was like, by the end of February, we want to order this thing. Mm-hmm. And then now where we're at is the manufacturer's waiting on us at this point. We thought we had a name. It was supposed to be Bare Bones. And then we went to a trademark attorney and said, can you get us Bare Bones? And he's like, no, somebody else is using it. They filed for it like 6 months ago.
Brutal.
We were 6 months too late. So, I mean, John, I don't know if you want to talk about how we landed on sun tallow, but that came next, and now we're in the branding thing and, or the whole branding process, I should say. Maybe you want to kind of take it from there.
Yeah. Well, sun tallow came about because honestly, I think it was a lot of the advice of one of my friends out here, Taylor, who has done business for a long time. And he's just a great brain to bounce ideas off of. And he always brings up this book. I forget exactly what the name is, but I think it's about like sticky branding. It has some idea in it about like having a brand that feels sticky. And Bare Bones was cool, and I think that could have been sticky too. But what I like about sun tallow, and the reason we landed on it, is it's like you kind of know everything you need to know in the name. And it's like the name is almost like self-explanatory and kind of just sells itself. It's like it's tallow to protect against the sun. Whereas Bare Bones, it's like Bare Bones is like a brand that I think would have been great to build a bunch of different products out. But like Bailey mentioned earlier, I think it would be a distraction for us to like start thinking really quickly about what are the other products we want to start adding to this brand. And so it was kind of a move to commit to the focused line of like, we really believe in this product. We think there's demand for it in the market. We think that it's going to benefit people's lives. and we're just going to commit to it. We're not going to create a brand that makes it really easy for us to find a back door. We're going to like commit to this in a way of like, we know this can work because it is working for other businesses right now. And we think that we're actually going to do a better job than a lot of these businesses. So yeah, it was kind of like the commitment thing and also the sticky element of like, we just want it to be on the like easy to remember, top of mind, and have tallow in the name, because like that's really going to be a lot of the magic that makes it a really compelling skincare product. So yeah. Gebs, did you have any other thoughts on sun tallow as a name or just that branding process?
Yeah, we went through a lot of different, another name that we were on for a little bit was Ritual, because I think the hope was not to get cornered as a sunscreen that people just take to the beach, because it's technically not like a sports sunscreen. We could have added beeswax, which would have made it more waterproof, but we decided not to because I've played around a lot with beeswax and sunscreen in making my own. And it's heavier, it's more pore clogging. So I do use that when
it stains stuff too.
Yeah, I can kind of stain stuff. So it's a great ingredient, super clean. But we just wanted to go more towards like something that's just, you wash your face in the morning, you put on your sun tallow. I think we're starting to realize how important wearing SPF every day is, instead of just, when you're spending time intentionally in the sun, just how huge it is for anti-aging and protecting your skin. I mean, my mom just got some skin cancer removed last year, so I think that was a big wake-up call for me that I want to start working that into my daily routine, because it wasn't before, but now I'm super committed to that as part of just my wellness journey. So yeah, sun tallow. It is what it says.
I also want to say Gabs shared this like sort of before and after picture of her skin from like, I think a year ago or maybe a few years ago, and another picture that you had taken recently. And her skin, like, but I honestly think my skin as well, like since I've been just using tallow, at first it was just other people's tallow products and then it was ours. I think both of our skin has just, and Bailey's, honestly, like, I just feel like I've noticed how smooth and moisturized and good our skin looks. Regardless, like that's like before any of the down the line through the years protection that you get from the zinc. But there's almost like a very immediate thing that you see with sun tallow of like, oh, my skin just looks amazing. Like that, just the before and after picture that you posted was like, holy cow, this stuff's like actually doing amazing things for your face and mine.
Yeah. Yeah. We could talk a little more too about just how it came to be and some of the story, if you guys are down to hear. So for my part, at least, I've been crunchy for as long as I can remember, honestly. I think my parents would attest to that. And especially growing up and dealing with a lot of different hormonal imbalances that have just caused a lot of grief and pain and just a lot of different health stuff, I've been super committed to just really making sure that what I'm putting in and on my body is super clean. And that's hard to find. I feel like it's hard to find good, clean products. I mean, growing up, I used like products that were so intense, they would literally bleach my clothes when I was washing my face because they were so aggressive. But that was just what was available,
Yeah. If you go to Walgreens, that's what you're
totally. And especially, being a teenager and struggling with acne, like you just went for the most aggressive things you possibly could. And so, yeah, slowly but surely over the years, I've just started to really clean up my routines, just the way that we live life, our home. We just go for as minimal and non-toxic as we can. And I've definitely felt huge shifts in my personal health. And I think it's just a big value to me is just, I think culture, there is a shift and a desire to return to a more kind of ancient way of living. I think there's like light phones are coming out and people are realizing they want to get off their phones more. And I think like healthy, natural skincare is becoming way more mainstream. Whereas before, like I didn't know of any of those things, all I knew was like Melaleuca and other MLM marketing things that were for like the super crunchy moms, which no offense, I love Melaleuca, but just stuff like that.
What is Melaleuca?
It's just a like an MLM that's super clean, like house products.
Mm.
But now I think those type of things are becoming way more mainstream, and people are realizing that
Totally.
you don't have to destroy your body and your hormones for the sake of like good looking skin and beauty, and that's just, you no longer have to trade those things out. So for me, we moved out of Colorado just to be closer to the ocean about a year ago, and I had bought some healthy sunscreens. They're so expensive, which makes sense because they're good ingredients and all that. But I went through so many different ones and just could not find one that didn't either smell weird or just feel just not good. I felt like I could like scrape it off my skin at the end of the day and my nails would just be white underneath. It just was so like heavy. And they were just sunscreens. They were not like moisturizers with SPF. And I even for a while was just using like, you know, a toxic for a better word, like a, you know, your typical tinted moisturizer with sunscreen. And I just was like, there has to be something better than this, you know? So I started making my own sunscreen, and I just went for more of a body sunscreen at first. It was just, you know, like they were mentioning coconut oil, beeswax for the waterproof effect, because we were just at the beach all the time, in the sun a ton. I would add some cocoa powder for just to not have that white cast. And that was awesome. And we were really loving that. And some things changed for John and Bailey in their business. And they kind of were like, what if we tried to sell sunscreen? And it's like, cool. And so they were making that product for a while. And then once they decided to change directions, I wasn't super involved. I was just more like, you guys can run with that. You do your thing. And then they decided to shift more into an all-in-one daily face moisturizer. And John and I had a conversation one day. I remember I was on the couch and I was like, you should try tallow. And he was like, what? No. And then he mentioned it to Bailey, and Bailey was like, well, that would be a big change in direction. And naturally, I think tallow is only more recently, I think, resurging. And it was for me too. Like I hadn't heard a ton about tallow previous to that. But because I do circulate more in those communities, I had started hearing about it a little over a year ago. I was on a walk with one of my really good friends in Hawaii she's like such a good role model for me of just someone who's super committed to a very clean lifestyle. And she has the most beautiful complexion. And I asked her what she does for her skincare. And she said, oh, yeah, I just use beef tallow. And I had never heard of that before. And I was like, are you serious? That's kind of disgusting. She's like, yeah, like I make my own in my house. I kind of smell like butter, but like it works. That's all I use is I wash my face with water and I use beef tallow. And I was like, no way. I had never heard of that. And she said that she could send me or she would make me some. And I honestly at the time was like, I'm good. No need. And then a couple months later, I'd become more warmed up to the idea and got my own tallow product. And I actually,
The R&R one?
yeah, it was this awesome product that I really like. Did have like a slight butter scent, which I don't love, but really clean ingredients. It's just tallow with a few other
I think
oils.
it has frankincense.
Yeah,
in it.
frankincense essential oil, which is super good for your skin as well. And I started using that and I just noticed a huge shift. Even living in a very tropical, humid environment, I tend to just have pretty dry skin. And I feel like it's the first thing I found that actually my skin is not dry and red and irritated, just like those pictures I put up the other day. I didn't even realize I had that picture in my phone. From about like a year or so ago. And seeing the difference is crazy because that was something I kind of almost felt like I was gonna have to sacrifice moving to to the beach was like, I'm gonna age really fast and my skin's gonna look crappy because I'm gonna be in the sun all the time and in the salt water.
Mm-hmm.
But it's worth it, you know? And then being here and using tallow, and I think it works, I mean, across so many different, you know, environments. And obviously Bailey's testing it out in Colorado, which is like the opposite extreme of super dry. You know, you're in like actual winter and all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is how it came to be. And really just meeting my own need of an all-in-one moisturizer and SPF, and just feel really inspired by the difference it's made in my own life.
Incredible. Thanks for sharing, Gabby.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Gabs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add in that it was so cool to feel like, you know, I brought in a lot of experience with sunscreen. I'm an incredibly pale person. If I go out in the sun, I can and will get burned. I have so many horror stories of growing up and going on vacation, so excited, and day 2 or 3 of vacation just being shut down. Like, I have to stay inside. I'm so burned. And so I learned early I have to use sunscreen, and very often. And there are a few places on your body that you can't, like, I'm very big on, in general, like, I know this isn't great for selling more sunscreen, but just use clothing, like use your clothing to cover yourself up when you can.
Yeah.
And then the areas of your body that obviously would be very annoying to cover up, like your face and your neck, and like your hands and stuff, use sunscreen there, you know? And so that's been my philosophy, but I still have to use it. And so when the idea of making a cleaner sunscreen came up, I was like, yes, because I did a quick search, and, you know, I've been in, similar to Gabby, like being crunchified over time. I want to see as few ingredients as possible in the things that I'm eating and using, like, on my body. I want them to be organic. I want to know where they're coming from. I want to kind of know that the company is not only like just slapping organic on it, but there's a value of minimalism, like, in what they're doing. And of course, it's a process. Like, there's so many things in your life, and you can't do it all at once. Like, you just would die and lose all of your money. So expensive. But when this idea came up, I was like, we got to do this, because this isn't out there right now. It's just not. And so, yeah, I mean, we really dove into the sunscreen side, and the tallow came along as a great base if we were going to make it be a daily moisturizer with SPF. We had figured out a lot of the things we wanted to do to get the SPF, and maybe to get like a nice feel and a nice scent. And so when tallow came in, it was just a matter of figuring out how to make tallow the base, and to have it not feel greasy. Really remove any of the negatives with sunscreen. Does it smell bad? Does it feel greasy? Does it leave a white cast? Is it toxic? Is it bad for the reef?
Does it give you skin cancer instead of protecting against it?
Yeah. Does it go into your bloodstream, like, you know, and then go all over your body, you know, when it's not supposed to? The answer to, you know, for our product, to all of those things is no. But for a lot of sunscreens, half or more of those things are a yes, or all of them. So that was an exciting part, was thinking, man, there really isn't something like this out there, and we should do it. You know, we should make it.
Yeah. So that was a very long side quest there, but to bring it back, we named it Sun Tallow because sticky, and we also are committing. And to bring it back to the timeline piece of this conversation, we landed on that name and realized, okay, like, we had all these graphic assets that I had created in Photoshop with my, you know, pretty base level skills in graphic design. And we're like, okay, well, Sun Tallow feels like it deserves a little extra treatment. We want to do something a bit more custom and exciting with this, because just as a name, it feels like it could be a little bit more playful, a little bit more beautiful from a design standpoint, whereas Bare Bones is pretty conducive to like a nice font and just plain colors. And so we've been working with an awesome graphic artist out here in Hawaii, and I think we got a little bit. I think our expectation of how long it would take to get a finished label and logo that are like ready to ship was probably a little bit faster than we then it ended up being realistic. So currently where we're at is we're trying to nail that logo and that label as fast as we possibly can. So we're going back and forth most days with this woman out here, trying to get it to a place we love and we feel like really represents the brand that we want to send out into the world. Because the moment that happens, the moment we've got a label that's ready to go, we can send that to our manufacturer. And Bailey, can you fill in from that point on what is going to happen with the manufacturer and then they're forward from there?
Yeah. And then the really quick recap is we started with the manufacturer. We had them order all the raw ingredients. They were ready to go. And I told them we'll have a label pretty soon, probably 2 or 3 weeks, not knowing that they would need the label like fairly quickly, because that was one of the last things they were going to need before they manufactured. So they email me back a week later and are like, we're ready to go. Where's the label? And I'm like, shoot, we're still 2 or 3 weeks out. So we're at this point now where the label is very close. We've done three iterations on it. We are probably, whether or not this final round has the logo we want in it, we have another sort of variation of a logo that we really like. And so we've kind of hedged our bet. Like, okay, if we don't really, really love one that comes in this final round, then we have one that we really like and, we're pretty ready to commit to. And so depending on where that lands at the end of this week, we will send that label over. We'll work with the graphic designer who is at the manufacturer just on little things like dimensions and borders and gaps to make sure all the text fits. And then my understanding is, well, I'm certain that they can when they make this, they'll make it within a single day. So they'll stop some of their things. They'll go run our formula. They have all the jars. They have all the lids. They have stickers. They have all the things. So it literally just comes down to mixing the formula, applying the label, and putting it in a box, shipping it to me. So that is going to happen. We'll get the label at the end of this week. We'll get the manufacturing done the following week, and then shipping will probably take 3 to 5 business days. So that puts us about 3 weeks from today would be the time that we can say to TikTok, hey, we have it. Here's our inventory. Here are all of our images. We're ready to sell it. So in that meantime, we'll probably do some website work and get the website live so that we can sell on TikTok and Shopify. But that's where we're at right now. That's the timeline. That's what you can expect from us. So start looking late April for some more communication from us on when you can buy it and how.
So sick. Yeah. Gets me hyped. There's been a really encouraging amount of DMs from both people that I know and people that I've never met on TikTok that are like, where do I buy? Like, why can't I buy it yet? Where is it? And I'm like, it's not ready yet, but I'm so stoked that it feels like random strangers on the internet want to buy this thing before it's even available. Like, that feels really encouraging.
Yeah.
So
did
you have any more thoughts on timeline stuff
and product?
Yeah, I guess I was going to mention, and I would love to bring you in, Bailey, to share more on this too. But just so everyone knows, it will not be certified as like a drug when we first release it, which it has to go through a bunch of testing and lab work to get there. But we can give you a rough idea of what the SPF rating is based on the natural SPF that's in some of the ingredients, such as rosehip oil, which carries a natural SPF, and tallow, which also has a natural SPF. And then the percentage of the non-nano zinc that's in it, it is somewhere around 30 to 40% or percent. Yeah. 30 to 40 SPF rating. But again, we will eventually be getting it tested. We just need a little more money first, but that is what it is at the moment. And then we do plan to eventually get all the certifications that we need as well. But Bailey, I'll let you share more about that. Just kind of, what our product is right now, and then tweaks we're hoping to make as we just get more momentum.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. The important distinction there being it's a cosmetic product. It's not a drug. And so even though we have an active drug ingredient in it being zinc oxide, we don't make any claims about what it will do in terms of we have tested it and it does this amount of sun protection. So that's coming. It's just very expensive. Like all those labs and the testing that you mentioned they cost money, and we are real people with limited budgets, and trying to bring a custom formula, custom brand, first product ever from, idea to sale in 4 months. So there's just not time or money to fit in an expensive certification in there.
And
So the idea is,
most of these natural sunscreens that you see that are startups like ours they're not drug tested as well, just so you know.
right.
For the people.
So if you look at Santa Cruz Medicinal, they have a tallow and zinc. That's the only 2 ingredients, but they have no SPF on there, and they call it a sun balm. They don't call it a sunscreen. And that's the reason why. They see this same market of, oh, moisturizer with SPF, let's go make it. And I think they literally just threw those 2 ingredients on a wall, and you can do that if you want, but it's not the best formula. Like, obviously it could smell better. It could have some more, like jojoba. There's a lot of reasons why we use jojoba. I think the zinc that they use is not the right process of zinc, so it's going to leave that white cast. So, all that to say, I think there's a lot of the natural ones too have even just seen like, oh, someone needs to make this. We'll make something kind of half-assed and hope that people buy it. And people have. Thousands of them have been sold. But we're taking the time to do it right. We just don't have a ton of money to throw at the SPF certification. So do a little searching of your own, Google it if you want to figure out, how we get from 16% zinc to roughly SPF 30. But that 16% number is really all you need. You can Google what SPF that correlates to, and it's fairly well understood. And also, a lot of the sunscreens you see will be in that 16 to 20% zinc by weight percentage, and they're all between SPF 25 and 50. So yeah, that's kind of the update on, are we thinking about SPF? Are we going to get that testing? Yes. Do we need to prove out that people will buy this product before we invest 20, 50K, whatever it comes out to? Yes, we need to do that first. So that's order one. We care about it. We want to do it. We just, we need to make sure that there's a market. Really, we need to convince ourselves we can sell it, because we know there's a market. We know there's a product that's needed.
Mm-hmm. And then what about the other ingredients? I know some are organic. Vitamin E is not listed as organic. The tallow itself. What's kind of the story there of just how you found the sourcing for those?
And also like why we use some of those too. Because I'd love to just go down the list and be like, here's our formula and here's why we use these things.
Yeah. So let's start with tallow, because it's the number one ingredient. I think we've talked a lot about why we use it. It's just transformational for a lot of people firsthand that we know have been using it for long periods of time. It's entirely natural. There's not a lot of, I guess what I should say is it's something that can be sourced really easily in the US in bulk. And so what we have is US grass-fed tallow. Now, the one or two things you're probably hoping to see there that aren't there are organic and grass finished. So really what that came down to was in searching for a organic, grass-fed, grass-finished supplier. We're really only seeing that product or that type of tallow being commercialized at a highly, highly expensive premium, like small jar for your kitchen, for your cooking. Quantity, I should say. All the other bulk suppliers that we looked at, who are the kind that will tell you what country the tallow's from, what certifications are associated, and also the documentation for those certifications, they don't sell. Sometimes they don't even sell grass fed. If they sell grass fed, they don't sell grass finished, because that's kind of just now entering the market. It takes a long time to raise a cattle on only grass to say grass fed, grass finished, pasture raised, that sort of thing. And then also, I don't know 100% with what goes into making tallow organic. But my guess is that those pastures that I talked about and the cows raised on them also have to be treated with only organic fertilizers and things like that. So that process takes a really long time. That is a really expensive type of tallow to buy. And it's, from what I can find, not available in bulk. What that means is not that we're abandoning that idea or that we don't want that. We of course want that, but it means we need to find a farm and we need to find a reputable supplier who's probably literally going to mean working with an individual farm who can supply that to us in bulk. And so that's what we're working on right now. We're looking into that. Some of the farms that we found that do retail online that we could just like buy like this, they're sold out right now. So that's why we weren't able to get it for this first order. We are very much excited though to find that partner and to do that in the next few months, so that our second order will be grass fed, grass finished, ideally organic as well.
And Bailey had mentioned to John and I earlier that there are a lot of farms who claim to be grass fed, grass finished, organic in the US, which a lot of the products out there, they advertise as that. But as Bailey experienced, when you actually ask more for their certification, for their data info, they actually don't have any of it. It's just like something they're saying. So it already felt like a big win for us to find someone who's legit certified 100% grass fed. And that was a huge win, and felt like kind of the top tier that we could get at the moment, even though there were other farms we could work with that said they were grass fed, grass finished, organic, blah, blah, blah. Where actually they're just kind of saying that and using that to get customers like us until they get shut down. So,
right. Yeah. And let's hope they do, because it's really not good for the marketplace to have people selling things, fake things. I ordered a tallow as part of our experimentation process that was organic and grass-fed, grass-finished, and it was pure white, which is a really strange thing for a grass-fed, because typically you will see that to be more of a yellowish tinge. It's more of it's less refined. And so I was like, actually that's strange. So I look into it. I ask, I look around online for people who've been using the supplier, and I just find shady things everywhere. Mm-hmm. Then I look in their Q&A, and like, they're just giving one word answers to things. People are trying to poke and get more data. And I was finding that more and more of the suppliers I was looking at had that type of listing for their product. Something that had a lot of certifications associated with it would have no details below the product listing, and nowhere on their website could you find more information about it. One that I did find that was awesome is like basically one farm that works with other conglomerates of farms and certifies for them, like they are a farm, so they know how to run a farm, and they do certify all these things, but they're sold out. So I was like, oh man, like I kind of want to reach out to them and see like, hey, how bulk can you supply, because we're going to need it in bulk. So those are the kinds of things we need to get more personal contact with the farms, because we really don't want to buy something that says it is what it is, but it isn't. We want to be very confident in what we're selling people, and it is grass fed. So the majority of the cow's life is grass fed, whether or not they're switching over to a corn or some kind of grain in the last few months. That's a fairly common practice. It fattens up the cow. It makes the quality of the meat better. But it will dilute some of the fat with that grain fed or corn fed. So that's that last bit of, perfection that we want for our product that we're going to continue to pursue. Mm-hmm. But we just can't seem to find right now. It's just really difficult. So, and also anybody out there who knows of a way to get this in bulk, or knows of a farm that we could partner with, please let us know, because we're in the hunt, we're on the search.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people talking about how they're kind of slowly discovering that a lot of these tallow products are actually ending up being like super cheaply made, sourced from China, which is just such a bummer. And you're selling these for, a lot of money and claiming all these things. So our goal is to take it slow and do be as transparent as possible. And not just say all the right things just to get you to buy stuff that we can't promise yet. But we are getting, the most top tier ingredients. And thankfully, with the other oils, such as jojoba, rosehip, lavender, we were able to get all of those organic, which is awesome.
Like legit organic.
Yeah, legit organic certified, all of that.
Yeah, those are exciting. Let's go down the list. So jojoba is the next major ingredient. It's below tallow. It's the next majority in terms of percentage. And we're able to get jojoba, lavender, and rosehip all from the same supplier, which is great. They are super reputable. They're called Bulk Apothecary. They'll tell you the country of origin. They'll tell you who certifies their company and their ingredients as organic. They tell you anything you need to know about their product in the product details. You don't even have to email them. The data sheets, they're all there. So we love them. We were able to find a lot of what we needed from them. So organic jojoba oil, and there's not much more to say. I mean, that's the highest quality. That's one of the most expensive ingredients in skincare. It's just a really high quality ingredient. You'll see a lot of people replace jojoba with olive oil, but jojoba oil is just really non-comedogenic. It absorbs super well into the skin. It's high in vitamin E, which is an antioxidant, and it's like it matches the skin very well. I think the word is sebum, or I think that's the word.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why when you put it on, it just absorbs like super quickly and moisturizes really deeply.
Mm-hmm.
So we love that ingredient, and like you said, Gabby, it's the highest quality that you can get of jojoba oil.
Yeah, personally, I just can't get enough of jojoba oil. I use it in my night moisturizer as well. I use tallow in the morning with the SPF, and then at night I use a jojoba oil based, jojoba oil based moisturizer that one of our really good friends out here makes. She's amazing, Retreat and Skincare, and yeah, I love her product.
Yeah,
and
we'll
it's
link it below on the YouTube video if you're watching this on YouTube.
Sick.
yeah,
I'll check
so
it
that's
out.
what I use at night. And yeah, jojoba oil is amazing.
Sweet. Let's jump to zinc then.
Easy.
Easy.
Zinc is, let's see, zinc oxide is it's a mineral. So there's no like organic, it's not something that's grown, right? It's harvested from, I think, the ground, I would guess, or purified mind. Yeah. So there's no sense in, certifying it organic. No one's going to spray fertilizer on it. So zinc then really just comes down to making sure that it's safe to use, right? So if it's nano, that means that it's of the nanometer particle size or smaller, which means that it can pass through your skin barrier and into your bloodstream. And anything that goes into your bloodstream that is small enough can pass your blood-brain barrier and can go to all the organs in your body and through your kidneys and things. So that's as scientific as I'll get, but I'll say that we buy a type of zinc oxide that is non-nano. It is specifically formulated to be too large to pass through the particle size, individual particle size is too large to pass through your skin barrier and into your bloodstream. So it's safe. It's a mineral. It sits on top of your skin and it reflects. So what's cool is a lot of sunscreens are chemical, and they like the sun and UVA and UVB rays will hit your skin and it'll hit that chemical, and that chemical will heat up. That's where the energy of the UVA UVB goes. UVA UVB. It's so hard to say. Rays go. They heat up, and then that is how the energy dissipates. The zinc, it just reflects it right off. So it's just a physical barrier. It works really in a simple way. And yeah, John, sounds like you grabbed a mic and you want to add something.
I just had just for clarification. So you mentioned that with nano zinc, the problem is that it can pass the blood barrier, can get into your bloodstream through your skin. Right. But why is that a problem?
Yeah, that's a problem because it just introduces, what zinc is a normal supplement. People take it as a supplement for like immunity, like immune effects, other things. It's helpful with hormone balance. But if you were to introduce too much of it, you would then be introducing like an imbalance essentially into your body. So it's just not. Go ahead, Gabby.
It can be carcinogenic and has been shown to cause cancer too, which is why there is such a big movement away from non-nano zinc, at least
away from nano zinc.
Away from nano zinc, because you don't want that in your bloodstream. You shouldn't, what you're putting on your skin shouldn't necessarily have to go into your bloodstream.
Right.
So yeah, that's why we choose to use non-nano zinc. And pretty much all mineral sunscreens or healthy, non-toxic sunscreens you find are going to have non-nano zinc, which typically can leave a really annoying white cast, which thankfully we've found clear zinc, which is less than non-nano zinc, but not as much as nano zinc. So it's that threshold before it's still safe in the clear before it passes into your bloodstream and just sits on top of the skin. But it leaves much less of a white cast. It still is, the tallow is white because of that zinc, but
Right.
I mean, I'm wearing it right now, and it just blends in super well.
It blends in so well.
Yeah,
No
and
white cast.
like a small correction would be that it's still not nano. It's just it's further on that side towards where like it would become nano, I should say. Like you could, let's say this, if I were to pick up a big block of zinc oxide and crush it, I would end up with some big pieces, some small pieces, and some smaller pieces. All the clear zinc is just they've filtered out the larger particles and made it's still non nano, but it's small enough that it will rub in. Whereas other ones, they don't take the effort to like filter out, or like you sift your flour. They just don't go through the effort to remove some bigger particles. And so that those are the ones that are really visible. And you can just buy it for many different applications. If you're going to buy it for sunscreen, you want to make sure you're buying the one that's processed nicely to rub in, and is still safe, non-toxic.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Last
Anything else
one's
on
vitamin E.
Yep.
And then the 2 essential oils. Vitamin E is an antioxidant. It's really good for your skin. But we mostly have added it because there's vitamin E in some of the other ingredients naturally occurring. We have added this as a way to boost that antioxidant amount while also improving the shelf life of our product. It's a totally natural ingredient. We add it in a really small amount. I think it's around 1%. And yet that boosts the antioxidant amount in there. It's a good vitamin E's in a lot of products that you'll see in skincare because it's good for healing and kind of helping with scars. But it also is a really good natural sort of like preservative, and it keeps the fats in a good state, because there's jojoba and all these other oils. They can break down over time. So it'll keep them from breaking down as quickly because it's an antioxidant. I think the oxidation process is what happens to the fats. And so the antioxidant is what's great about it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that isn't organic because we can't find it organic. That's something we need to do more research into. But essentially, similarly, I went to all the reputable suppliers, even the ones who they have like mission statements that are like everything that can be made organic, we make organic. And for some reason, the vitamin E isn't. And I think it has to do with how it's made. But it's naturally derived from usually a soy plant or a sunflower or something like that. And so ours is naturally derived. It's not synthetic. It's very much safe. It's used in many, many products, but not organic for now. If we can figure out how to do that, we will. But from what I can find, even the most like reputable suppliers don't offer it as organic certified. So, and then the last 2, Gabby, I don't know if you want to talk about rosehip.
Take us home.
I can take the last 2. So rosehip oil, I actually used to take it for a long time in capsule form. It's a supplement that you can take that's very popular for just working on skin, hair, nail health, all of that. Similar to, what's the collagen? Sorry, basic. Yeah. But yeah, so I took it in capsule form for a long time and really love the effects, but it's great to put on your skin. It's really high in antioxidants, really great for reducing inflammation, and also really helps with cell turnover, which is huge for just acne scars, discoloration, healing a lot of that.
It's like a mild exfoliant.
Yeah, it's a mild exfoliant, which is really interesting. So it just helps your skin replenish itself. Very moisturizing. So I love using rosehip oil. And then lastly is lavender essential oil, which essential oils are so good for the skin, but it's really important that they're diluted. I would never put an essential oil straight on my skin. It can be really harsh actually. But when you put it in a carrier oil, as we are, it's just a few drops, and then you're able to get the really positive effects of the essential oil without it being damaging or overpowering. So the Sun Tallow has a really, really light and not strong at all scent. It smells so good and does not smell like butter or like a Slim Jim.
Slim Jim.
But lavender essential oil, is antibacterial. So there's so many great uses for it there. Again, also anti-inflammatory, very calming for the skin. So I love using lavender essential oil. And it's perfect that it's in all these lovely carrier oils that just help it go on really, really nice. And it's really good for the skin. So yeah, those are the all-star ingredients.
Yeah, it's a great list. I think we originally set out to be like, how few ingredients can we do?
Mm-hmm.
But we found that just by adding 2 or 3 more, it really boosted the experience with the product, right? So adding a couple of those, like you're saying, essential oils, they're really concentrated. You don't need to add a ton to get huge benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And it smells incredible. Like the experience of putting it on every day is really, really nice. And I think that was something that we did want to make something functional, but to add those few things, we could really elevate the experience and add a ton of function as well. So I like, we were getting kind of Spartan about like, can we do 2? Can we do 3 ingredients? But we were really we were loving these samples that had the essential oils. And also, as we looked into them a little more, we were like, oh, wow. It's kind of one of those things where function and like also the incredible smell, like they work together. It's not just one or the other when you get something really natural like lavender or rosehip.
Yeah, and just to add, an ingredient you'll see a lot with tallow products is honey, which honey is so good for your skin. Sometimes if I'm in a pinch, I'll just use honey to wash my face. Honey is just such a powerhouse in the skincare world. But we just through research, we started to learn that honey specifically mixed with tallow, unfortunately, it can just be a breeding ground for bacteria. Especially jars that you're, dipping your finger into a lot and introducing outside bacteria. Technically, you would, just the shelf life would be a lot shorter. It has potential to go bad, rancid, and just smell weird. And you don't want to introduce that to your skin and kind of take that risk of mixing those two together. And then, of course, you could add in a bunch of terrible preservatives, but we didn't want to do that either. So that's a reason that we went away from honey, which you'll see, like I said, a lot of tallow products that are honey and tallow, but just didn't make sense for what we were trying to do. And I would recommend honey. Use it for your skin. Just wash your face with honey. But mixing, that amount of like sugar with animal product is just not necessarily the best combo.
Yeah, and dipping your bacteria fingers in is okay with a lot of products, but when you add in a high sugar environment, which also is going to have some water, that's what you get. It starts to smell. So you won't get that with just fats, right? But you'll get that when you add a ton of sugar in.
And you could use, there are products that use a plastic pump for that, which is great. But we really wanted to stick to glass and just not using any plastic in our product, because that's a huge value for me, is just as little, it's like really difficult to have no plastic in your house, but just as little as possible, because that kind of is a huge piece of just endocrine disrupting and BPAs and all of that is really important. So we weren't going to sacrifice that. So yeah, we love what we've made, and we love the packaging, and it's just as holistic as we could get.
That's an incredible summary, Gabby. Thank you.
It's good stuff.
That's all the ingredients.
It gets me so hyped. Oh, what are you reaching for? Oh, she wants a coffee. Okay. I feel like we've freaking crushed product. I'm stoked. I feel like this is probably the most exhaustive explanation of our product we've ever done, which sure. I hope there's people out there who will like want to binge this, because I think it would be hard to like listen to all this and like not like, I'm getting excited. Like, I have the product right in front of me and I'm like, I want to buy something.
Can I put more on?
Yeah. But yeah, right now I'm just feeling a lot of pride. Like, I feel a lot, and not in like a negative way, but I just feel really proud of Gabs for like being such a friggin' beast as far as cutting toxins out of her life and mine as well, and just kind of being ruthless with that. And then I'm also just really proud of Bales, just your just the length that you've gone through to make sure that we're doing something with super high integrity. There's just so many points along the way where you could have just made an easy decision that would save us money and would make things faster and more simple. But there's just so much that I just feel like both of you guys have brought to this product and what we're building that I just feel like I'm so proud of this company. Like we haven't even sold anything yet. And I'm just like, I love what we do. I love how we approach this. And it just feels like a massive gift to me that I get to be a part of this with like someone who I've been friends with for like 10 years. Bailey, just like have known you for so long.
Yeah.
And to be figuring out collaborating and partnering with Gabs, my spouse, in building a business has also felt like I got into it very tentatively because I know how that can become complex and difficult really quickly. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people will advise you like not to do that. But I just feel like, each one of us has brought something that feels really invaluable to what we're doing. And just wanted to say, 100%. I'm like, just really grateful for you guys.
Yeah, me too. I think it's hard sometimes to take that step back and realize like we're each bringing very different strengths and value to this company. And they're all like fully vital and essential. And yeah, we should almost just like throw a little, I don't know. What is it like? What is it they do in Severance where it's like the quarterly winner?
Party.
Yeah, like we should throw John a waffle party and like, we go over his best.
Dude,
TikToks
I want to
the
have
last
the melon thing when they like carve. Yeah,
the freaking melon party.
They carve that guy's face out of a melon. I want to have the melon party, and also
you have to like die first.
Who's like going to be the Milchik guy who comes in and he's like, "You've earned a celebratory music experience," and he like does a sick dance.
That would be you, probably.
Yeah.
I'm the celebratory music experience guy. Gosh, that show is so great. Oh my gosh.
Severance. You got to watch it.
What
Today I was on the highway and a billboard was like, how Southwest just recently got rid of the 2 bags for free thing?
Devastating.
Awful.
Oh, I did know that.
Someone spray painted MDR like over the billboard. I don't know if it was like a tie-in of like corporate whatever and Severance, but I was just like, that's hilarious.
Macro data refinement.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I really appreciate you guys and the strengths you bring, and I feel like I'm glad to be a part of MDR.
That's so sick. How can we bring as much of Severance culture into this company as we
What if we just rebranded as Cold Harbor and just sold our
You're gonna love putting Cold Harbor on your face every morning.
What is it?
We don't know what Cold Harbor is, but we're putting it on our faces. Okay, so I think it would be cool to just touch on the marketing aspect for a sec and just share sort of how we're thinking. I know this is probably getting long at this point, but I think it's really fun to sort of share what we're learning and how we're going about things, just because Bailey and I came out of the agency world. Like we started an agency together. That's what we were doing initially. And then we realized that it's much better to be an agency for a business that you own rather than other people's businesses, because other people's businesses, you have a shelf life as an agency, and it's annoying to just be fired over and over again. So anyway, it's just fun to be like starting to leverage what we've learned with other people and other people's companies with what we're doing here. So one of the things that I would love to like sort of hear, I just want to pick Gabs' brain on, is like we've recently brought Gabs in as like kind of the Sun Tallow influencer along with Bailey. And I've also been independently building my TikTok channel as with the goal of selling Sun Tallow through there as well. But Gabs, could you just sort of walk us through your process with coming to grips with maybe I will avoid using the term being an influencer, but creating content under the brand name Sun Tallow.
We're explicitly not. You're not an influencer.
Thank you. No. Well, it's definitely been a journey. I think my goal this year is to completely get rid of social media for myself. I think I'm a Gen Zer. I've had Instagram since I was 11 and Facebook since I was like 8 years old. And it's just crazy to think about how that's impacted my life. Sorry, I don't need to go too deep into this. But anyways, I'm trying to get away from screens as much as I can and being a consumer on social media, which I'm not doing great at the moment, but I've been sick, so that's okay. But yeah, I just kind of, besides, helping brainstorm the ingredients, I wanted to be a part of sun tallow, and it's the best fit for me was to do TikTok videos, which is super. I've never had TikTok before. I downloaded it for the first time for this. I started with my own TikTok because the idea was like, I'll build my own platform and then talk about sun tallow on it. And I made 3 videos, and it was like, felt so icky to me to just be like trying to show my life and get people interested in me in that way. So I deleted it. And came back to Bailey and John and was like, hey, I'll do this, but only under the sun tallow platform. And it's been difficult. I think a lot of times I feel really self-conscious. So many of our friends and family follow, and it feels kind of embarrassing sometimes to like be trying to get people excited about something. And it's definitely really easy to feel imposter syndrome of like, I'm trying to talk about this product and health stuff. But like, I'm not a doctor, I'm just a consumer and someone who really cares about like living an intentional, holistic life, But yeah, I think I'm slowly getting over that and just coming to terms with the fact of like, there should be no shame and nothing wrong with like trying to do something, I think it's so easy to be passive in life, and I think it's like a really beautiful thing to take a risk and try to make something and try to sell it. And like, I shouldn't be embarrassed about talking about that and sharing what I've learned. And this probably would be, it would be really embarrassing if this was like not something that I actually used or cared about, or was like, eating like, I don't know, like a diet of Sour Patch Kids and like using super toxic products on my face. And then the one thing that I use that's like, but it is very aligned with who I am and what I care about. So yeah, I'm slowly getting over that. And it's not my favorite thing, but it's important to talk about. And I'm just trying to work on putting myself out there, talking about health stuff, tallow, and then just hopping off after that and just being present in my life.
That's great. Yeah. To be honest, it's like I've been doing content for a really long time, and I resonate with a lot of what you're talking about with like the imposter syndrome thing and the embarrassment factor and all of that. Like in a lot of ways with social media, that never goes away. Especially like what I found is content feels really good when it's succeeding and your account has traction, and like most of the videos that you're posting are getting a bunch of views and engagement. That feels awesome, because even if it's like your family member looking at it, if they're looking at a video of you talking about something and there's like 2,000 likes next to it and all these comments and everything, subconsciously what happens in their head is like, this person's smart, they know what they're talking about. It adds to your credibility. But the opposite is true, especially when you're just starting out on an account and you have 30 followers and most videos that you post get 2 or 3 likes. Like when someone just naturally, like what happens when you see a video like that is your people's brains just inherently are like, this person is low value, they don't know what they're talking about. Even if that exact same video posted a year later on the account, once it has traction, does have all those thousands of views, it's just a weird thing. And so I've just found, for me, in seasons where my content is getting a bunch of traction, every video I post, I'm like, this is awesome, everything's going great, this is amazing. But I'm more in a season now where I'm like trying to get started on a newer TikTok account, not as new as the Sun Tallow account, but it's that same like insecurity of every day you come and you're like, my goal with my TikTok is to like really bring value to people and to help people, especially like men who are feeling lonely and don't know how to build friendships. That's sort of what I want to go after, and like help people talk about friendship, help people talk about community and how to invest in themselves, how to grow in a relationship with people. But every day it's like definitely a battle to believe that I have that to offer in the first place. There's totally like a vulnerability and like a belief in yourself that you have to get to first before you go out and create content. So yeah, I resonate with you in that journey. But yeah, TikTok is a really unique platform. Like before, maybe a year or two ago, if we were doing this exact same journey, I never really would have considered TikTok. But Bailey and I had a few clients that are really, really like big TikTok nerds, and they have been going down that route for a while. And the reason that we're so dedicated to TikTok is that the shopping experience in there is unlike any other social media platform in the world, where you truly can have a product go viral in the exact same way that a piece of content can go viral. So like our friend Travis, me and Bailey were doing some social media work for him. I was showing up at his house once or twice a week, and we would shoot a bunch of content. I would edit it and post it for him. He would have a video get 6 million views or whatever, and he would make, over $100,000 in a month, like that, just because he had a video go viral that was attached to the product he was selling. And not like, I don't necessarily it's not necessarily like a greed component for me. It's more of just like, if you're asking the question, what is the best place to have a completely new brand that you're bootstrapping and starting from scratch with, that you don't have a massive marketing budget for? What is the most nurturing environment for a business like that? It truly is TikTok and TikTok Shop. And so that's why we believe so strongly in it. And that's why in a lot of ways, we're like kind of starting from scratch, because I've invested primarily in my YouTube and my Instagram. And I'm still continuing to invest in those, but TikTok is kind of the place where I'm like providing this new value in a different way, and trying to come at it with an angle of like, I want people to trust me and like me as a person enough to like believe that when I build a product and offer it, that I'm not just like trying to get their money in exchange for something that's not actually going to improve their life.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's been really fun, like seeing Gabs like start to create content, because I genuinely think she's amazing with it. Like she's in a lot of ways more natural in front of the camera than I am. I think she just has a way, even having listened to her explain all the ingredients and the product and stuff, like she's so good at putting words to some of the stuff that can be really complicated. I think for me, I get really overwhelmed with the science of all of this stuff that skincare can sometimes not feel approachable to me. But I think Gabs has she has just a really cool way of understanding all these things, and natural, just history, to be honest, with her experience with all of them. And so it's been really fun seeing her like starting to be creative. Same with you, Bailey. Like I just love Bailey. You may not understand this from like us podcasting together, but Bailey is one of the funniest people I've ever met in my entire life. And if you go back and look at like some of the TikToks that he's posted, like he's legitimately hysterically funny. And it's really fun to start seeing both of you guys offer those different pieces of yourself that I've seen from a personal standpoint, but it's now starting to become professionally relevant. It's just awesome to see that. So that's my rant. I don't know if either of you guys have more things to say on marketing front, but
I'll add one last thing on marketing, which is the North Star for a lot of companies and products is this metric called ROAS, which is return on ad spend. So if I spend $1 to make a $3 sale, I actually don't even know how to calculate ROAS yet, but essentially it's important that I could spend 10 cents to make a $3 sale. That would be a much better return on my ad spend. And so really what it comes down to with TikTok is I could post a 200 view video that really no one's seeing. And maybe someone will still, because my product's linked, because of how easy the shopping experience is, see that and click on it and buy it. And I can continue to post videos, and I can continue to make ads essentially and run them for free on TikTok. And at some point, one of them's going to do well. And that's essentially going to tell me, oh, this is a good ad. It communicates to people some amount of value that our product brings. And it forces a curiosity from them of maybe is this the right product for me? Should I buy this? And so we use TikTok simply because it is free to post an ad and see how it's going to perform. And then once you have learned, I have 10 videos that I know do well, I can go over to all sorts of other platforms and pay 10 cents, $1 to run that ad and know that I will get some sales from it. And I will probably get a decent ROAS. And so it's not just about TikTok and all the things that are going on with TikTok in the US and like, it's complicated. Some people don't like it. Some people love TikTok. Depends on, maybe your exposure to it, what you use it for. But at the end of the day, it's a fantastic platform to launch a product and learn a lot about how your product will work and what videos work.
Right.
Before then scaling your brand and really mitigating a lot of risk in scaling a business and bringing a product to market.
Yeah. And the cool, like the thing that gets me the most hyped about it is it has sort of lowered the threshold for who can be an entrepreneur. I think that's like one of the most incredible things about it is because of the viral potential on there, as well as the direct connect between like different ways you can make money on there and different ways you can make content on there. It just has basically leveled the playing field, because even just 20 or 30 years ago, to start a business and to be able to start selling a product, even exactly like the one that we're doing, you needed a ton of you needed a ton of financial capital to get something launched, because you had to have a marketing team. You had to immediately be spending money on running ads.
You get in stores.
Yeah, on the radio or on television or newspapers. Like you had to start with ads. Whereas like you had mentioned, Bailey, it's like now what the really powerful thing is, for completely free, you can start with content, just posting that. You don't have to pay anything to hit post on TikTok.
Yeah.
And not only are people seeing that for free, but for free, you are also receiving the data of like what content works and what doesn't. And basically the rule of thumb that you can follow that almost always works out from a data standpoint is content that works well organically will crush as an ad. And so like our friend Travis, again, he has this supplements company that he started. Anytime he has a video go viral on TikTok, he then can take that exact video and pay for people to see it on Instagram, Facebook, Meta, wherever. And he can publish it organically on there too, and he'll get views on there as well. But he can like predictably get views by paying for it on a different platform. And he knows that video will convert because he's seen it convert organically on TikTok. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, it just gets me hyped because, again, it's like anyone can be an entrepreneur these days. If you have an amazing product that you can find like awesome influencers to partner with and work for, like super low threshold there, or if you want to go create a product and be your own influencer, super low threshold there. So
that's our strat.
That's the strat.
We hit timeline, we hit product, we hit some personal values.
Yep.
And we hit how we're going to market this thing, which I think is all we have. For you in this episode.
One last fun thought is that
throw it in.
We're all under 30, which is cool. We're in our 20s and we're trying to start a business.
Yeah. Forbes 30 under 30 or whatever.
I was going to say, we still have time to make it on there.
Yeah, $30 million.
We have like a month until John is 30. But yeah, it's just a fun little thing. Like, go out and do stuff.
Yeah, get after it, people. Take this formula, this timeline, everything that we've done, and go make your own thing. We'll
just rebrand our product with your branding. And
just white label it. It's fine.
No thanks. We don't want people to do that. But honestly, I mean, I have no idea who's going to end up listening to this, but we are definitely going to be on the hunt for amazing affiliates that already have social platforms built out. So if that's you, or if you know someone who is an affiliate, has an awesome social media presence in the wellness, skincare, crunchy granola space, that's kind of like the space that we want to occupy. Either reach out if that's you, or reach out to them and see if they'd be interested, because that is one of the most exciting things, at least to me, is starting to branch out and build a network of people. We have a Slack channel that we've started to collect all of the people who want to be affiliates and help sell and make money for themselves off of selling our product with us. We have a Slack channel for that, as well as for just friends and family who are just excited about what we're doing and want to sort of be in the know for our launch. We've started a Slack channel called Team Tallow, and it's just been really fun seeing like people join in there and have parts of the discussion. Some of the things we covered today were just questions that people from our Slack channel had been asking. So if that's of any interest to you and you would want to be a little bit more involved in this launch and sort of see a little bit more on the inside, we have that Slack channel. So just DM us or comment on this video and I can send you the link to that.
And if you're an affiliate, that means I get to make less TikToks. So
Gabs wants to outsource her content creation to people who crush.
Yep.
But I think she crushes. I think if she stays consistent for a year, I think she'll have a gazillion followers. But
Tallow will, not me.
Sun Tallow.
Sun
Yeah,
Tallow.
it's not Gabby's social media, but that's about all she wrote for today. It's definitely been a
Tis.
longer one, but it feels really good, I think, to have something that if someone ever asks, like, hey, can I binge Sun Tallow and just kind of get everything I need to know as quickly as I can, I would probably send them this episode because it just feels like we freaking hit it.
Yeah. Super excited to share our brand with you guys very soon. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I think before the end of the
we
month, that's like my big goal for me. Is like if we can make our first sale before March 1st, or not March, what is it? April, May, before May 1st.
May 1st. Yeah.
I'll be hyped.
Me too.
All right.
All right.
GG's,
Peace.
everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.